What's up, everyone? Welcome to yet another exciting episode of TokeMoments. My name is Toke. Today, I've got with me someone who is literally the talk of town. You know, the brains behind the number one movie in the world right now. I was just coming from an event. I'll tell you this, Editi, and it was an event the TEF, Tony Elumelu Foundation, and the US government put together an event for creatives and business owners. And I stopped by there before I came here. And they were talking about your movie. How are you, Editi? Welcome to TokeMoments. Finally, because we've been trying to make this happen for a minute, right?
So my publicist says that when you go to an interview and the interviewer is excited, you have to match the energy.
Boy,
and I'm trying to match your energy right now.
Match that energy right now, because over here we're both tired. Okay, I just got off a flight. Listen, I attended an event and I came to have this conversation with you. So what do we need to bring?
Remember
do we need
what
to
I
home?
you?
Is there a kumbaya? What do we need? Yeah. That felt really good.
Yeah, I think that I have experienced everything. Remember when we met earlier and I said, has the world ever meant your business? I think that I didn't think through this thing. I always wanted to make a film that's world class. I wanted to make a film that the world would see. I wanted to make a film, an African film for the world. And I didn't plan for what happens after. See, I planned for this film being successful. I did the work. Worked really hard to make it what it was. The crew worked really hard. My cast worked amazingly. Now, what I did not plan for is the whole world wanting to know my opinion about the film I made.
I know. That's why I started with that question. Black Book is the movie we're talking about, just in case you're wondering, ladies and gentlemen. If you haven't seen Black Book, you are underneath a rock. It's beneath the rock, actually, because this is one movie that has crossed the borders of Africa, the shores of Africa, rather, the borders of Nigeria, shores of Africa, and is right there doing incredible numbers. People are always pumped about the Hollywood-Nollywood collaboration. And with your film, and I'm not gassing you because I don't really gas people. Like, honestly, this one, you said the world is your matter. But with your film, there's a new chip on our shoulder pad saying we don't need them. They need us. You should give yourself a round of applause first for that now. Well done, my guy. That was good. Incredible.
I think I was talking to the guy, I think Wired. And the quote from that is that it was a film made by Black people with Black faces and 100% Black money. And it's very important to remember that all the money was raised in Nigeria. It was our money. It was our people. And so you see a film went number one in South Korea. It's one of the world's biggest, most artistic film markets. And then they made a Nigerian film, their number one film. I think that for the industry in Hollywood, I'm really happy for what is happening in this moment. Because ultimately, this is what we've always worked so hard for. And to see that's happened today, it couldn't have happened at a better time. And yes, I think there is room to collaborate. But I think the statement truly is that the world wants our pictures. If we work hard, we can get what we want. A year ago, I was represented by one of the biggest talent agencies in America. And every time I brought a project up, they said, okay, we're going to have to attach a US writer. But I've written the script already now. No, we have to attach a writer, a big name writer. That's how they always approached doing business with me. We have to attach a director. We have to attach a Hollywood name to make this go forward. I think the Black Book came out on Friday. Monday, I got a message from the agency. Oh, someone wants to work with you. There's a book they're trying to adapt. Would you like to be attached as a writer?
Wow.
So it's that change where I've spent the last couple of weeks, just walking through books that people want to attach me as a scriptwriter, or looking at projects that they want to bring me on board as a director for. And I can't imagine what other Nigerian directors are facing. So I'm really excited about that. I think that we have proven that our stories can travel, our stories can do well globally. So yeah, big ups Nollywood. I think this is our moment.
We're in there now.
Yeah, we are.
We are, literally. I mean, you said something that I like us to talk about a little bit. The fact that you did the work and you worked really hard. I mean, I will say this to you. I don't envy being in your shoes right now. Because, there's people are always saying things like you're only as good as your last work. And it's okay if your last work is here, where they'll be like, oh, there's room for improvements. It's nice. Let's see what this guy has to offer. You didn't do that. You shattered the ceiling with your current work. And it's now like, are you scared? Are you frightened? How are you feeling right now? I'd like to know.
I always think that I come from the tech industry.
Okay.
Obviously, I spent 20 years in tech. Spent the last 12 years in advertising. So I didn't just fall off of a tree. I'm not an overnight success. I'm like top 10 most viral ad campaigns in Nigerian history. I had to have created at least 6 of them. I created the Bright Price app.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not new to this, like creating things. But the thing I do believe very clearly is like if you work hard at a thing, you believe in a thing and work with your heart and absolutely put in the work, it will be rewarded. Success follows that work. I'm not saying go and carry an axe and go and be splitting firewood. No, but if you actually believe truly in the thing that you do and put in the work, it always comes through. It always comes through. And so that's the thing. Am I afraid of what comes next? No, I think we have a plan and we are going to stick to that plan. Our plan and the thing on our company mission is that we are telling the next generation of African stories. We didn't just say that. We started saying that 5 years ago. And so for me, it is that formula. We get a great story, work hard on the story, We worked for 2 years on the Black Book on the story. So we worked hard on the stories and we spent time on pre-production. We spent a year in pre-production. You go into production, give it absolutely everything. Go into post-production, give it everything that you can. I don't see how come. Look at your brand, for example.
Thank you.
No, you've worked really hard to build it.
Yeah.
You want to eat food and then you're like, no, I've got to take a picture of it. You go into an event, you have to give the best version of yourself because you're building this thing. And it's taking you to the places that you want it to take you to. It's the same thing. If you because every little bit helps. This morning, I like sharing the process of what we did because I don't think I should be the only Superman in the area.
Yeah.
I want people to learn. I want other people to beat the records that we've set. And we went to a village. We wanted to shoot a scene. That scene wanted to shoot on a road. And Yinka and I, my DOP, were like, the scale we want, this road wouldn't give it to us. So we have to build our own road.
You built a road?
Yeah.
What scene was that?
Where the soldiers are running in Kaduna, and then they're shooting at the shooting range. Yes. And also when Big Daddy runs away from the farm, that big open wide scene, that road they were driving on, we had to build it. So we went permission from the community. We had permission from the community. We now got like heavy equipment. We broke the bulldozer spade the first time. And we had to get another one and then built like a patch the size of an airstrip and build the set beside it. And so just that scene is less than 1 minute on screen.
This is the part that I like that you're sharing the process because this is the part that people don't see.
It's less than a minute on screen.
The amount of work that goes into less than a minute.
We're talking about another scene. The markets, Big Daddy's market scene.
Where the shootout eventually happened.
Yes.
Yes, I remember that
one. So Paul's character walks through the market and it's an actual market, 300 extras. Of those 300 extras, to understand, it was during COVID. And Paul Edima's character, RMD, he's 59 at this point. He's 59 years old, he's at risk. So what do? You test every single person, 3 people deep around him for COVID. So he doesn't have contact with anyone who could infect him because, so you do that. And then so you build that entire set. It wasn't the real market. We actually had to build that set. Everything was brought in. That scene is less than 1 minute on screen. But why do you put all the energy you have into every single scene? It's because you don't just build a mountain, a grain of sand. You see a grain of sand at the bottom of a hill. You don't think it's important, but a grain of sand on a grain of sand on a grain of sand makes a rock, and a rock on a rock on a rock makes a hill. And hills and hills and hills make mountains. And so, to your original question, if we have the formula that we work harder than anyone else, put all the work in, I don't think we can fail. And that's for me, I make films for audiences. If I put the absolute best into it, the audience will love it.
No,
if the audience doesn't love it, we do the next thing.
We do it again.
I've said it before. When I walk into my set, I want to be the last person to leave. I'm going to have to work harder than everyone else because I have to lead by example. And working harder than everyone else is not something that I have. Like, you have to do it. I came to Lagos without my uncle, man. I came here and I didn't come to Cambridge. If I don't work hard than everyone around me, I don't have a choice. I don't have a trust fund. And so you learn from that beginning that you had, that nothing will be given to you to work for everything. But there will always be no's. When I put the Black Book, when we started shopping it to sell, we made this thing without a buyer. We invested $1 million and we didn't have a buyer.
Who are the people who believe in giving you that money without a buyer?
First of all, me.
Amazing. Yeah.
First of all, me. Like, you have to believe in yourself and invest in yourself. And so when I called my guys, and said, this is how much it's going to cost to. And then second thing I would say is that this is how much I'm putting into it. And when they look at it, like, okay, since you've put your own money first. Oh, yeah. All right. But when we were shopping it was, for a year, we thought it was going to a different buyer. And they loved it. They're like, it's nice. But then for some reason, budgets, maybe they didn't have enough budget for it. And I go into a meeting one day and the guy who was dealing with us says, sorry, we don't think it's as good as we thought it would be. I'm like,
not that. Imagine
really?
Have they called you since it's been out?
No, I'm not going to sit here and think that I felt satisfaction from that or anything, because no, I think that it's just a thing that, is a process. And I'm going to work with these guys again in the future. Yeah. And I believe that when we get into a room to have conversations, there'll be, of course, a lot more respect, because like everything you say to them would happen to the picture did happen. So that does build confidence on both sides.
True.
But that meeting was it was difficult because I told him, like, come on, tell me you don't have budget. I can understand. I work in advertising. I know budget. We cut budget all the time. But please, I work really hard. Do not tell me that this is not worth. Because you're telling me it's not worth your time. Don't tell me it's not worth what it is, because we know it is. And he says, well, I'm telling you what it is. And I'm like, okay. Because that is actually, creatively, is very disrespectful to say that to any creator. And the reason he said that was because I said I can only take a branded deal, an original deal. And telling me that it's not good enough for that, it was a slap. And then I walked away from that deal. I said, on the principle of it, I can't do this deal. Even if you offered me twice the money, I cannot do the deal, because like, you only have to work with people who respect you. Why? If you deal with a person who doesn't respect you, say we're going to do marketing now, So I think that is a very important lesson learned for me. And the next time we go to have conversations, I believe that it would be had differently.
Definitely.
I would have done better. There are things I could have done better, handled that situation better. So I in convincing people way ahead of time or of what I wanted to do. Maybe I could have cut my opening 5 minutes and colored them and VFX it and properly.
I don't think you should say that though, Editi, because I feel like if you had said
I'm
that,
being
then
nice.
you probably. I know. Then this is my podcast, and while we know you might still work with them, and it's no sort of beef or hey, it is the business. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was personal as well. As you said, it could have been a budget issue. Someone just didn't like it. It's all fair and good. We got where we got to right now. And when you're going to have that conversation again, you're coming with more, if you thought you didn't like that.
And the word I think you're looking for is riz.
I'm trying, okay? I'm trying, my friend. No, but it's so weird that when I thought I would be sitting down with you, I didn't think that I would sit with someone who echoes or mirrors my thoughts. It's amazing how I'm hearing you talk about different stages that I've found myself in. And just, I'm super duper proud and excited that, of course, this is one of our own. And this is the outcome was everything you said it is. Because sometimes they call it Delulu. But you see that Delulu stage when it's like Lauren Houston, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive about my shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know.
That Delulu phase when everybody else looking at you like you're mad. What 5 minutes to cut? No, I believe this is going to work. And it came out even better than you anticipated.
I think that every voice is important and we have to always remember that. I remember when I after we've done the deal with, about to do the deal with Netflix, so one of the notes was that the opening 30 minutes was a bit long and we have to split it up. And to do that, we have to take about 10 minutes out. I was furious because I'm done with post-production at this point. To do that, we have to go back into edit, basically break the timeline, start everything afresh. It's hard work. And I was visiting my sister in Newcastle then, and I got off the call and my sister looks at me. Is everything okay? I said, no, everything is not okay.
Oh, wow.
Taking 10 minutes out of a film is incredibly hard work.
Yeah.
But then after I allowed myself room to fume, I allowed myself room to express my emotions, happiness, joy, sadness, whatever.
Is this guy mirroring me again?
I allowed it. And then I was like, let me do this work. I pulled my laptop this time. I was going to call my editor. I was like, nope, I'm going to do it. I pulled my laptop. Spent the next 1 hour fuming at my screen, but chopping very efficiently. Very, very efficiently. And then I was done. About 2 hours I was done. I exported this thing. It took a while to export. I exported the timeline, uploaded it, sent it to Netflix. And I get a response from my guy in Netflix. It's like, oh, when we meant to cut, we didn't mean, take your time. You have time. I'm like, that's the final cut of your film.
Yeah.
And this guy doesn't respond to me after that. Maybe a week or two later, he has gone to watch it now. It's like, we're expecting a new cut. I'm like, that is your cut. So he goes to watch it. And it's like, this is the final cut of the film.
Yeah.
But you cut this thing in less than 5 hours. I'm like, it's your cut now. That you asked me to cut, I cut. And the point there is, when he told me we needed to cut this thing, I was fuming. But every voice is important. We have to, even if we do not like what we hear, it's important as artistic people, as artist creators, to take a step back away from ourselves and actually look at the merit of the feedback we receive. And I tell you what, that was the best decision we could have ever made, because you see that 20th minute where most people pause to cry first and then continue. That would have happened much later and people could have tuned out.
That's one thing I like about the movie. But before I even get into that, you touched on allowing yourself to feel. And I think that that's one of the things that, has helped me get to where I am. When people say to me, how do you get through? I'm like, listen, I let myself go through the motion. Like, there are days when I'm not feeling like I want to face the world. I just let it ride. Because I think that that's, ultimately the best way to still be in top-notch, form in your mind. So hearing bad news and letting yourself feel the fact that, okay, I'm putting, I have to go back to this again. And then doing it the way you did it, the energy that came from that less than 5 hours they thought that you used to chop it probably came from you letting yourself express yourself and feel. So well done to that. Talking about the movie itself, there are so many things that in terms of tuning out, I don't know if anyone will watch Black Book and tune out, because from the beginning, I must be honest with you. No, let me tell you what. From the beginning, I'm very honest. So when I started watching it, I first thought, this movie everyone's talking about on Twitter, okay, just play it. And I think the most, I became my mother. What I mean by that is my mom watches movies like it's happening in real life. So at the point where the dreadlocks, the guy was going to meet his dad in church, and they pulled him over, and I said, "You're looking for," so I said, "Jesus. But can't you see he's not the one? Oh my God, this guy, he's such a good guy." And I think the build of emotion is where I'm coming to.
Yeah.
How you build our emotions from the opening scene, his dad and him at the beach. I don't want to give too much away for those who haven't seen it, but I'm also giving enough for those who haven't seen it to go and watch it. And just to see the bond that was created, knowing that,
yeah, you feed a sheep and then kill it.
How did you build all that heightened emotion? Because I wasn't so mad at you guys when that happened.
So filmmakers do make interesting choices to make people do things. Now, in that film, that scene where they killed Dami, the death of Dami, was shot almost to put you on the scene. Now, the entire film, for most of the time, you're in it. You see the emotions, you feel it, but you're not. It's done in a way that you're following a story, not participating in it. However, that scene was shot, the way the camera was shot, angled, is just on the periphery to bring you into the outside. Just the outside of that scene. You're seeing it right there. You're participating in what is happening, but you can't help him. Because we fed you the information, you knew he's going to die. You knew he was going to die in that scene. You'd absolutely know that it's going to happen, but you can't help him. You want to save this boy. But then because of the way the camera is kept, think of it as a circle, and you are on the edge of this circle, the absolute edge of the circle. You can't jump into the circle. So it was shot that you on that edge of the circle. You want to help.
I hated you guys for that.
I know.
And I think because of the NSAS, and I also think one of the things that's made this movie such a success is the fact that this is not just a movie of emotions. This is also stories that we've heard 1,001 times. This is stories that we've seen in the last couple of years in Nigeria. Police brutality, is somebody trying to make a change, but the past comes calling. And how moral does moral really mean? When
the past must die to truly serve the future. I wrote those words. And I sat through almost every sitting of the NSAS panel. Yes, those tweets that used to detail what happened to at the NSAS panel, that was me. Wow. The ones you read.
Yeah.
That was me. I was the one. I sat there. I went every sitting. I would report and create a thread, tweet by tweet by tweet, to tell you what was going on.
Let's talk about the casting. Stellar cast, I must say, because you also mentioned traveling with RMD to get the permit. How did you, when you started writing, because I know that for those who don't know this, he wrote the script, he directed, he produced. What else did you do?
Executive
produced.
Carried
cameras,
light on set.
Assistant.
If you want to do a thing, just be ready to do everything you can do to make this thing happen.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yeah, but like casting.
How did you get your cast? As they say, docs in a row. How did you, sit back and as you were writing, were you writing and were people coming to mind, or was it one of those, I'm drawing a blank, let's just pull an audition and see who we can get?
So I write very experientially in picture, and so I've traveled extensively in Nigeria, and I'd gone to Kaduna and spent time looking at the places that we wanted to film in when we were writing the scripts, that I would want to film in when we were writing the scripts. I did the same with Lagos. So I went to Takwa Bay, went to places. Funny thing is, I didn't know I would shoot in Takwa Bay, even though I had explored the different places. I went to Ilashe, went to Ekpe, well, near Dangote refinery. Anyway, so I'd seen the places I wanted to film in while I was writing.
So you were also the recce guy. You were the one who was
yeah. Anyway, so I had that clear idea of what I wanted. But Jesus, man. RMD, I couldn't find anyone else who could embody Paul Edima. It was him. But luckily for me, I work in tech. And then my financial advisor is RMD's daughter. And so my friend, I want to cast your daddy. And she was like, my client, my friend, and my daddy. Okay, I'm good. So she introduces us. So I take him out to lunch. If I want anyone to do something important to me, you're going to go to lunch first. Because like big things are better discussed over food. Empty stomachs don't make good decisions.
I agree.
So we go out to lunch, Southern Sunday, because he lives in Ikoyi, and it was like it was easy. I had a meeting down the road, and so we met there. And then we just start eating, talk about film, and then I started walking him through what I wanted to do. And in that first meeting, I told him that if we do what we want to do with this film, it will be the biggest film ever made out of Nigeria. Now, this man has been doing film for 30 years.
Been around since.
And he looks at me. Okay, why? And I walked him through what I plan to do with it. He says, okay, it's good. He wants to do it. And then we go for dessert. On the way to dessert, I said, by the way, you're going to have to lose weight.
How did he take that?
He was quiet.
Yeah.
He went, got his dessert, comes back and sits down. And then looks at me and says, you have to pay for a trainer. I say, yes, I'm willing to pay for a trainer. It's going to take a few months. I said, I'm willing to wait. I expected that we're going to spend the next 6 months preparing for this role. He looks at me, 6 months. I said, yes. We're going to spend 6 months. We're going to have diets. You're going to be on a diet, a strict diet.
Is going to come on board.
And he says, you're going to pay I was like, your chef will pay for it. We'll pay for your gym. We'll pay for training. But you're going to have to put...
You have to be committed to it.
And he looks at his food and starts eating the
really quickly.
And I was like, what is... He said, because I don't know the next time I'm going to have to eat good food like this. So he calls his chef and it's like, we need a new diet plan. And so the chef was like, do not send him anything. I'll send the bill to me. And that's how it was from then. And this was March 2020. We started shooting in January 2021.
Wow, incredible. Do you feel like that's one of the things that is missing with, when you look at, people are always quick to have this old Nollywood versus new Nollywood conversation. I think it's one industry. I try not to dabble in those conversations. But the level of commitment that you find that a lot more people who have been around, because you mentioned 30 years.
40, it turns out he's been working for 40 years, actually. Yeah.
Before I was born. Before
his career is older than me.
Before we came to be. Do you feel like that level of commitment is easier found in those guys?
No, I don't think so. Denola Gray was in the gym every day with RMD. He had bulked up. He was my size. And then he had COVID and lost all the weight. Because he was supposed to look different in the role. He still killed it, but he was supposed to look completely different to him. And he was in the gym every day with RMD. He'd bulked up. He was big. He was working with the U.S. Marine we hired to train both of them. They were in the gym together. We're doing throws together. We're doing fights, sequencing together. So I think that...
I think he bodied the character, by the way. We're talking about Denola. Because he didn't speak, and it takes a level of genius for you. Because sometimes with acting, people get into different things, the way the person looks, the way the person sounds, or whatever. But this is someone who did not speak a word throughout the movie and still conveyed. And I mean, I know that directing must have also gone into it, but kudos to Denola. If you see this, I think
there's two sides to this thing. You're a director, you know what you want.
Yeah.
There's an actor who's bring what you want. And then you meet in the middle. You can't do one without the other. So people praise directors or praise actors. It's teamwork.
It's teamwork. Make the team work.
And every single actor I worked with, every single member of crew I worked with, they put so much in. Remember when we had COVID on sets and we were so afraid, you had to stop working. We shut down the set to take care of people, take care of everyone. And remember, this time, people don't really know how to treat COVID. Thankfully, I had COVID. Nearly killed me, but it was the experience. I called the doctor who treated me and, just get around to getting, treatment for everyone. And people went through that and still came back because they believed in the work. And the belief was so much that, this 2 weeks off where we shut down set means that 20% of our budget is gone. We have to raise a bit more money. But you know what? We believe so much in this thing. We went back and did exactly what we did. And shout out to my cast and crew. You guys, I love you.
You did a thing. You did a damn thing.
Thank you.
With the casting, I must say.
Let me tell you how I found Alex Osifo.
Yes.
I haven't seen him anywhere. Don't know how to reach him. And then I'm going through Twitter one day. I saw a person, Sarah Alex Osifo. I'm like,
this has to be his daughter.
I'm Efik, and there's a story, Mutanda, where in Mutanda it says, Enyinge Biada Enying means a name like a name. I'm like, Enyinge Biada Enying. So I reach out to her. Are you who I think you are? She laughs and says, yes, of course she is. I beg, I want to cast your dad.
So you went through a lot of family members, basically. From this daughter.
And it turns out she follows me. And it's like, oh no, I respect you a lot. If you want to cast my father, he would do that film. So next couple of days later, I get a call. This is Dr. Alex. I was like, oh God, well, done. So that's how we casted him, of course. When we pitched the film to him, he was happy. He read the script and he was like, he's going to do it. Sam Dede. So I worked with Lala to cast, a lot of the casting. You can decide this is who I want, but you always have to close them. I wanted now Shafi Bello worked with me on my first short film. So I was like, the next film I'm doing, you're going to have to choose your role but then I knew I wanted her to be Big Daddy. So I sent her the script. I said, read and choose what you want. And she calls me. I knew she would want Big Daddy because it was such a, it was iconic character. She says, I want that Big Daddy. I'm like, yeah, of course. That's what I wanted to give to you.
And
then, of course, Ade. I'd seen her work.
So good.
She
Such
is
a stellar
amazing.
Actor.
And
she acts with everything.
Yeah. People don't realize that, villains are respected in film. Villains are respected. Heroes are loved. The hardest characters to deliver are characters where you be hated by the audience. Annoying characters are so hard. Look at the beard woman in Ozark. You hate her, but this is why she won for that role because you absolutely detest
her. Yeah, she got on my nerves.
Yeah,
every single. I just thought, man,
because that's excellent. And so when we talked about this character, I was like, oh, they're not gonna love you for it. It's like
she was very annoying. The part where she snuck into
excellent, the most amazing, annoying person.
Yeah.
But look at the scene in the church.
Yeah.
We had technical difficulties on that day. We couldn't rack focus automatically, remotely as we usually do. So we had to rack focus from camera, and it's really, really hard to do, especially in low light settings. She had to cry, and when she gets up and cries, the tears will come from this eye and then the other one. Ade is a criminal because that girl had continuity for her tears for 8 takes. She would just give me a minute. And she would deliver.
That's incredible. Oof, you definitely made... I haven't talked about one of the most exciting things about the movie for me. The color grading. I am yet to find a Nigerian movie that has that level. How did you attain? You see where the General and Paul Editi meet for the very first time?
Paul Edima.
Why am I calling him Editi?
Paul Edima was actually, by the way, named after 2 people I grew up with. Edima Usoro and Paul Green. Paul Green is my assistant.
Okay.
He carries his shoulder up because Nigeria's most iconic character is
named after him. I can imagine. So the scene where they meet, because everyone's been curious about the general, and then there's the open. That was Lagos. How did you? It could have been Miami. I think that was the part that I looked at the screen and I just thought, wait, what is going on here? It could easily be Miami. The water hadn't looked so beautiful. Even the crates, everything it was just...
Production design. Shout out to Pat Nebo. Pat Nebo is amazing. Dearly departed. But I'm so glad that I worked with him. I experienced his artistry. But the funniest story out of that scene is that when we went to recce the place, the area boys were like, over our dead bodies, we will not, I will kill everybody. And then, by the time we finished, they bought me a beer.
Shikwe, you became one of them.
Yes, of course. And it was a funny thing. I don't, when I go to talk to these guys, I don't try to do that thing where people try to like, I'm one of you. No, I come to you as I am, you know, but like I show you respect and you show me respect. And I'm like, I'm very respectful to you. And you're going to be respectful to me. Now, then we have a conversation. These guys ended up buying me beer because we treated them like people. And they call me aside and it's like, oh God, you know, these film people, you know, they always look like they're better than us. That's what they told me. They act like they're better than us. And remember when I said, oh, I'm not a big man, you know, and he said, oh God, you're wearing nose mask, you're a big man.
Nose mask.
Do you understand what that means? If you are big enough to care about dying from COVID.
Yes.
Our lives are not, they don't treat their lives as precious. One of the days when we're shooting in Lagos, not Lagos Island, just the marina, this area boys were fighting and then just they ran past us and then just down by the river, someone died. Like a guy knocked another guy, fell into the water and died. Right there. And the other guy just came to us, don't mind them, just do your work.
Oh no, let me tell you one thing that'll freak your mind out. So I used to go to my mom had a shop in Lagos Island, Balogun side, growing up. So after school, sometimes we'd go over to the store before we eventually get home. The most iconic, I use the word iconic, because you keep hearing about area boys fighting. I've witnessed one before. I've witnessed a fight where two guys are fighting. You use a machete and slash the arm. The arm is dangling. He takes off his shirt and wraps it up and carries a bottle. Those people, as you said, they are on another. So what you said about them, it's a thing like, oh, he just died and they carry on. Yeah. I saw that as a kid. You know how terrified I was. I saw the man's hand. You know when they...
Where are you from, Saleko?
I'm from Ondo State.
But you had
my mom had a shop in
I was
Lagos
like, maybe
Island,
I met your cousin because like we're like trying to get permission to shoot in that market. Like we went to, we shot on a Sunday. But to get there are about 10 streets that we wanted to use. And each of them has a king, area boy king. So we had to bring all the boys to the table. And the day we were bringing them to the table, I was like, only 3 guys, only 3 guys. And then we had security, but the security were like plain clothes. And we got there. Everyone's on the table. Not a literal table, like everyone's
in their corners.
And then they're quarreling amongst themselves. And I was like, can they calm down and say, oh God, this is not your business. This is not your business. This is how we do. I'm like, okay, all right. But you have 5 minutes to finish quarreling. If you don't finish, I will just get up and go. Now, I brought cash in a bag. And then they get to their 5 minutes mark and they're not, like they haven't stopped their quarrel. I pick up the money and stand up and like, I'm leaving. They're like, oh God, small play. Like, what if we do not let you go? I'm like, bros, sorry, I know you see I'm yellow.
Hey.
So you know, like, you think, but think about it. A guy that looks like me, talks like me, he smells nice too. Now walks into this your place with his own 2 legs, carrying a bag of money, and sits with you, and is not afraid of you. Don't you? Like if don't you be afraid of this guy?
Yes.
And so you think, okay, you killed me now. Of course, man die once. But what do you think will happen if me, I now don't show up where I'm coming from?
And people that will come knocking on your door.
Please,
you
bros,
don't want none
don't
of
try
it.
yourself.
Were you just making mouth, or was there really genuinely people?
Did I say I came with security people? I don't take risks with my life. So that's when they realized that those guys that were sitting casually were my special forces military.
Yeah.
And they were just quietly, casually just being there. So, but then it's also important to be very respectful of people in their homes. And when we shot in Salako, we made sure that all the armed policemen and military were they just had their own seats out there so that they wouldn't people would not feel intimidated. Yeah. You know, so those are the things, some of the things, like when we went to Kaduna, always go speak to the chiefs, always speak to the owners and then when we needed to work in there, we built a road for the community that the community still uses. You know, so those are the things. I think it's important to be very respectful to people and the cultures of the people when you are working, because it's the thing that if you want to build authenticity, you have to build it with the people in the communities. And to do that, it starts from respecting those people, respecting them enough, you know, in when you deal with them. Because if you do that, you also would show in the work that you do.
But thank you for watching. Make sure you check out Black Book. It's available worldwide. Our friend here has been on, New York Times. He's literally the man of the moment. Let's give him his flowers because he very well deserves it. And we're holding our breath to your next production, my friend. Well done.
Thank you.
My name is Toke Makinwa. I'll catch you on the next episode of TokeMoments.